What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of Before the Whistle presented by BRK Insurance Group. If your business is looking for the best in employee benefits, commercial property and casualty insurance, or retirement and 401k plan services, there's no one better suited to meet your challenges and build a plan centered around your needs than BRK Insurance Group. What's up, y'all? Happy Saturday, if you will, and welcome back to Before the Whistle. I'm your host, Maddie Hudak. I apologize for this episode coming out a day later than usual, but having these kind of player interviews, I really just want to be respectful to them and their process and whatever's best for them. And so here we are on a Saturday, and I'm really excited to bring you guys this interview today with Tulane wide receiver Lawrence Keys. He's been a guy that has been around since the Cotton Bowl year, someone that I really got to know during that season, and probably, unfortunately, because he started it out in that spring camp being hurt, and really just kind of getting to know him as a person. He was just someone I got to know very well over that year and really consider to be just a good friend at this point. And it's been just such a pleasure to watch him really grow into his own in this role over the last couple of years, where you could really see how important he was to this team, especially towards the end of that stretch heading into that Cotton Bowl, where he led the team in receptions against Cincinnati and was really important in that conference championship game. If he doesn't make those returns in the Cotton Bowl, Tulane doesn't have the field position that they do. It's very easy to say that they don't win that game. I mean, they won by 8 points. And if he's not throwing that block 87 yards downfield with Jaquan Jackson on his touchdown, then Tulane probably doesn't win the game either. And I think really in those moments, you see how valuable guys can really be to a team. And I think that's really just what you get out of Lawrence Keys. But you've got to also see what he can do on the field. And he led the team in touchdowns this last year, even though he was hurt and I believe missed the final 3 or 4 games of the season, up until which he was leading the team in receptions and receiving yards, and he ended up finishing second in both those metrics. But even though we talk about Tulane being a system, for him to really just have that big of a presence on the offense, he was a leading receiver versus Ole Miss, which we talk about in this episode. He was second versus South Alabama and led the team in 50% of the games that he played in this year. It was Southern Miss, Nichols, UAB, and ECU. And that Nichols game is where he caught the touchdown pass that broke the record for Michael Pratt for most touchdown passes in Tulane history, which I believe was 74 at the time. And that just continued to go up as the season ended. But for someone to not really have the season end the way that it did and just kind of be focusing on this offseason process for what feels like a really long time now, all kind of looking forward to Pro Day on this 2 weeks ago at this point. But yeah, for someone that's been injured since November of last season, I mean, that's a really long time to just be on your own, getting back and rehabbing and looking forward to the draft. And so it was really nice to catch up with him, get a sense of what his offseason process was like, what it was for him that made him want to come back to Tulane, how much that really meant, and what he learned about himself while here as a teammate and on and off the field, and really just the true meaning of brotherhood that I think just continues as I speak with these guys to mean that much more every single time. But I really enjoyed this conversation, just getting to know him a little more. And with that, let's get right to it with wide receiver Lawrence Keys. So I just kind of have been starting these, getting everyone's background, and it's interesting. Half the guys I've talked to at this point are from New Orleans or are guys that ended up returning. And you were one of those guys. You started off at Notre Dame and then ended up transferring to Tulane before the Cotton Bowl season. So what was kind of your process for coming back home?
Really, played along the road with Coach Fritz. Just having a relationship with him coming out of high school, because he recruited me as a freshman in high school. Like, he's been there throughout my whole entire journey. And entering the transfer portal, he was like one of the first coaches to ever call me. And, he told me he wanted me back home, told me I have some opportunities to line for me, and he wanted to win a championship, So my role going into it and what I was looking for was a coach that, I build a relationship with. And I really just try to avoid going through what I went through, making the decision. I wanted to have a relationship with someone that I knew already, that I can rely on, and that's trustworthy, because it's all a business. And I did have other schools that recruited me throughout the process, but Coach Fritz just stuck out along from the rest of them.
Yeah, I
And that's what,
remember. I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I was saying that's what pretty much made my decision.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember talking with you in August of last year, or just kind of about Coach Fritz and how much he meant to you. And then, at that bowl selection party where it was a little morose, and you were someone that I spent a lot of time with that day. I know that it's kind of in the past now, but how really emotional was that when Coach Fritz ended up leaving? Because I think it just speaks to, like you said, really how much he meant to a lot of you guys, just as important as kind of that hometown atmosphere.
Yeah, it was pretty tough. I mean, it was he was more than a coach to us, and I think that was the biggest part of, it was just being able to be around him every day, um, and just be able to talk about things outside of football and things that we actually want to do in life, and just being someone that you can call on, and he always be there, or he's always willing to, help or do anything for the players. He treat us just like his sons, and you don't get that everywhere in this business of college, football. And I mean, that's pretty much what it really meant to, or what he really meant to us. And that's why it was so hard seeing him go, because a lot of coaches a coach like that doesn't come around. Rare. It's very rare.
Yeah, and something for me that's interesting about you guys that transferred before that Cotton Bowl year is, I mean, on the outside, I was at every single game in the 2-10 year, and I could really see, really what the potential of this team was. But I think people really forget that a lot of you guys that came on for that Cotton Bowl year, you decided to come onto a team that had won 2 games the year prior. So what really was it that you saw in that Tulane team that you really saw that potential to finish your career out here?
When I first walked through the doors of Tulane, um, I met Nick Anderson, you know, and
Yeah.
I walked in the locker room, and all the guys were like, just welcoming me there. Like, it was so warm. It felt like I was already there, for all 4 of my years of college. And those guys just brought me in, I mean, it was good being back home, but just being away for so long, I kind of like didn't lose it, but they like brought that Southern mentality back to me. And it was just a different vibe. I mean, I seen it in their eyes, like especially with like Nick, Dorian, Macon Clark, like those guys, like they just had it in their eyes, and it was like day 2 after we reported back, they called the team meeting, and everybody was like confused, but we all walked in that room and we made goals for ourselves, things we wanted to accomplish and things we wanted to do that year, and we know it had to start, with spring going into summer and going on, because I mean, if you wait till the season start, to set goals, it's a little too late. The work has been started. So I just felt that vibe walking into that room with those guys, that it was going to be a different team. It was going to be a different year. We're going to attack things entirely different, and all of us were on the same page.
Yeah, I think that's super important. It really kind of, to me, is the story of that turnaround, is really just the brotherhood of these guys. And I think in today's age of college football, we talk about NIL, the transfer portal, and everything. But I think really what gets lost in all that is really how important a brotherhood and really just that sense of trust can not only help you off the field, but how much really do you feel like that helps you guys on the field, just having that real true sense of brotherhood and that accountability that started back in that spring?
Yeah, I definitely go. I agree with you on that. I feel like the NIL part of it has, like, I wouldn't say it ruined college football, but kind of takes the sense away of like what players' actual goals are. Like sometimes they can forget that brotherhood part, because it's so many dollar signs that's just flying around now, and a lot of players are like, just up, oh, let me just leave. I'm not worried about my team. I'm more focused on money than actually being with my team, and that kind of like ruins it. But there are a lot of guys out there that's still like one to have that brotherhood, one to win, and not just all in it for the money. And I see that with this group of guys, this year with this team with Coach Summerall coming in as the head coach. It's a group of guys that's staying together, helping each other. Just being out there at a couple of the practices, I was able to tell that they're out there uplifting each other. And I can really see it that they still have it going. That brotherhood's still there.
Yeah, again, as you're talking about, you can really tell how that forms in the spring. And just for me, it really sticks out how many of you guys are there, because when I think back to the spring camp of that Cotton Bowl year, no one was really
Yeah.
on the sideline at that time. It was really just kind of you guys and the broadcast crew. But I remember, you came in strong in spring camp, and then you got injured, and that kind of probably, derailed some of the progress you were making. And what was kind of the challenge of coming over here, trying to learn that new system, and then really trying to get back to full health all in one fell swoop?
It was difficult, especially being off for a year, at Notre Dame into the transfer portal. It was just I had to get back underneath myself, just being out for that long period of time. You can like start feeling more relaxed and like not really feeling like that person that you're supposed to be. So going into it, I knew that it was going to be rough. I knew I was going to have a hurdle to step over. I knew what I was getting myself into. So I knew I was going to have to face adversity going into it. So, you know, really just mentally, you just have to stay strong and you just have to know and just deal with it. But at the end of the day, I felt like after a couple of practices, okay, I started feeling myself again, started to get my feet back underneath myself and started to actually catch on to the plays. I felt a lot more comfortable going out there, especially knowing I have these group of guys on my back with me also that's uplifting me, throughout the bad things and just keeping me going. And that's what really got me back to myself coming into spring and going into the season.
Yeah, 'cause I kind of remember exactly when you really started to come on during that year, and you could kind of describe it as that switch flipping, where it was the Cincinnati game. I think you were leading the team with those 5 receptions. I think Day McDougal, one of the old wide receivers, he left towards the end of the year, and that really opened up an opportunity for you to just kind of come in and run with it. And after not being, this huge part of the offense for that year, how did you kind of find the ability to step up and be that critical guy for Michael Pratt at the final stretch of the year?
I was just really, I mean, we've been talking about it over the course of time, like going throughout the year. We knew that guys going to come and guys are going to leave, and the other guys have to step up. And during that year, I had a specific role that I played, like special teams, and got a lot of jet sweep and a lot of deep balls I've caught. But just going into my last year, I just want to be able to I wanted to be able to showcase my ability, as a receiver, and not just a special teams player. So I knew that I had to, step my work ethic up. I know I was going to have to hit the books harder. I know I was going to have to hit the training room harder, hit the weight room harder, and also on top of that, help other guys out, like lead. So that was pretty much it going into that year. I just know I had to do more than what I was doing that following year.
Yeah, I said when we talked in August, I remember something we talked about was just the amount of routes that I'd seen you working on throughout this last off season, and we talked kind of about just having the confidence to know that you can do more than just being in that slot role and those jet sweeps and motions. So, where did you really kind of find the confidence to be able to do that?
It was really just working overtime. Well, before the season, like after practice, during the summer with Pratt, with the rest of the guys, we always got together and just hit the field. Run through plays, run through some routes, and just really work on our connection. Because we really did get a chance to work on it as much. But we had a chance to sharpen, and really execute and become a more precise, group with the quarterbacks, and we just worked on that a lot, and it showed for itself when it came to like the games and stuff.
Yeah, and I noticed you did move quite a bit away from special teams this last year, but just kind of thinking back to the Cotton Bowl, just something that I remember is the amount of returns that you had that set this team up in really good field position, and then just your chemistry with Jaquan Jackson, thinking back to that, I believe 87-yard touchdown for him. What I always remember is you were stride for stride with him throwing a block downfield, and it just looked like you guys just went into this almost simultaneous trance. What were those moments kind of like for you guys on the field and having that time together on special teams?
It was actually great. It was actually great just being able to go out there and help, just help the team to a victory. That was just the main goal. No matter what I had to do, no matter how it was done, I just made sure that I gave my all, because I knew they'll do the same for me. And that's one of the biggest things that's like really important when it comes to this game of football is, who are you going to be when the ball is not in your hands? Like, are you going to make this block? Are you going to hustle? And that was just something I was big on because I know those guys will do the same for me. Just if I was to catch that ball, I know Jaquan will block 87 yards for me. I know Deuce Watts will do it. I know Ty J will do it. Pratt will even do it. So
Yeah.
it's just willing to do those little things for your brothers, and that was like my favorite play of all time. Like out of my entire college career was blocking for Jaquan on that play.
I love that. As I just think it gets really undervalued, just the importance of not only the ability, but the want and willingness to not be the guy catching the ball and still be able to make such an impact on a play. I think that is such an important mentality to have. And it's the same kind of one on special teams, but yeah, you're just kind of helping your team out, but you would really just make up ground in a really short period of time. And, I think back to Tajay Spears and his vision, and something I always saw both in you and Quan as wide receivers is that you also just had good vision. When you were in those kind of running plays and on those returns. So what's kind of vision, what does that mean for you? And how do you really apply that on the field?
Just really it starts with like I said, going back to earlier, just before the season start, me, Quan, we used to always get together and we used to work the little things like getting on the ladder, dodging tennis balls. We used to throw balls 100-mile-per-hour at each other, and we have to dodge them. And and if we did, we'll start over. We had tennis ball machines that we used to get on, and it was just that work that we put outside of it, and that's what made it so, great to watch during the game time or great to see during the game time because it's like the game was just like in slow motion to us by the time we got to those type of moments once we catch the ball. And it was just something we was always big on was like, if we catch the ball, like we're not getting tackled by the first person. We're not getting tackled by the second person. Like we catch the ball, we see two split two, we catch it, let's make a play, And that's just how it was with us.
Yeah. And just talking with you now, it just sticks out that it's not just about the receptions or the routes for you. And if someone from the outside looks at Tulane's numbers from last year, for example, no one necessarily sticks out that much, but it's really just being, I think, a part of a system that really requires everyone to be bought into that and be okay with being a team player. And how important do you feel like that mentality was to the Tulane offense and how you guys were really all able to succeed last year?
It was a huge role. Just going back to earlier, like just by us all being on the same page and all us being able and willing to do those little things for each other, we knew in the long run it would be an advantage over other teams. No matter how close the game is, no matter what situation was in or scenario, we was going to make sure we got it done. And that was just something we set, before the season, before fall camp, before summer camp. And even when it got to those camps, we doing those little extra things. Like I see Sincere flying down the field, like after a long run. And I'm like, and he's tired, but it's
Yeah.
just those little things, like everybody just sprinting, running around and just trying to do something, little or anything to, help the team.
And I mean, despite the system, though, you did lead the team in touchdowns. And one I'll always remember is when you caught Michael Pratt, it broke the record for the amount of passing touchdowns in Tulane history against Nichols. I don't even think you guys knew at the time that was the touchdown. But what was it like really learning afterwards that you were a part of that history?
It was amazing. Just being able to do it in my hometown also. Just a little kid that never knew something like that would happen. And doing it on the field with those guys, it just wasn't me and Pratt that broke that record. It was the O line, the running backs, the receivers, the coaches, defense, everyone. Everyone broke that record, and it was just amazing. I didn't really realize that I broke the record or Pratt. Until like after the game when I did an interview, and I was like, oh, it's like I didn't know that. And then I checked my phone, and I was like, oh, we did. I was like, okay. But it was nice. It's a great achievement to have, knowing I caught that ball from Pratt, to break the record. So that's pretty nice. It's an honor.
Yeah. Like I said, it was one of the several that year, and it really felt like you were coming on super strong. And I hate to keep going back to the negative, but unfortunately, not only did the season not really end the way that you guys wanted it to, but you really weren't able to finish out those last couple of games and be able to play. I know how hard you were pushing back to get back, and just how was that really like, knowing that unfortunately your college career would kind of end with you not being able to take that last snap.
It was very hard. I'm not gonna lie. It was real difficult, but something I just always told myself, no matter what, in any situation, just give y'all, do anything that you can do to be a plus, no matter what. And I was hurt, and I was probably the most positive guy ever. Coach Rich pulled me to the side and told me that once. She's like, I've never seen somebody that's this positive when they were hurt. And I was like, yeah, I can't hold my head down. I mean, it happens. It's football. It's a game. Um, it's something you just can't control. And I mean, if you dwell on it, it would tear you down even more. And I mean, it won't make anything better. Just being in your head or getting distracted. So my role there after I got injured, I was just like, I want to be there for those guys. I want to help. I know I can't be there out on the field with them physically, but if I can just come and coach, or I can come and, explain something that the defense is doing that they don't see, or, see something that the coaches don't see, I'm willing to do it. So it was real hard, but I was I was real positive about it all, because I knew that at the end of the day, um, those guys would be doing the same thing if they were hurt. They'll be there giving they all. So I got my tail up and I gave them all.
Yeah, I mean, it is easier said than done. I think it just says a lot to your mental toughness, because injuries can just be really demoralizing for guys. You think back to Tajay, who almost quit football, but I always remember during that championship game seeing you really comforting some of the wide receivers on the sideline. It was one of the more emotional sidelines I've ever been on. And sometimes I think guys, when they're hurt, it feel a little out of place sometimes, but you really just had your arm around guys. And I think for me, that's unfortunately sometimes see true brotherhood in those more sad moments. But I really felt like all of the things that you guys always talk about, I really just saw them as much as I could have throughout that championship game, even though you guys, it didn't go the way you wanted in the end.
Yeah, just it was real hard. Like, and just going based off like experience and being in those type of predicaments. I mean, it sucks. Nobody wants to lose. Nobody doesn't want to, have to go through that, especially after all the hard work we put in. But I just looked at it as, like we didn't. I know we didn't reach our goal, but one thing I know that we did do is we came out here and fought. We came out here and fought a hard game. And in life, everything will always go, our way, how we expect it to. But I can say that, we at the end of the day, we didn't, let down. We didn't take our foot off the gas. We fought to the end. And just seeing those guys' reactions on the sideline, crying and, you know, just down. It was just hard to see that. And me being an older guy and having that experience and knowing what it feels like, you know, I just wanted to be there for those guys to uplift them, like, just let them know, like, everything is going to be all right. Like, it's fine. It happens. We did everything we could do. We played the hard game, and, like, it's the game of football, like, you're going to experience something, like, not even just on the field, that's tough, like, but also in life, And it's all about, how you deal with it, how you come back from it, how strong it's going to make you. And that's just the message I was just telling those guys on the sideline, like it's only going to make you stronger, like how are you going to come back from this, what you going to do with yourself, and with the team, that's going to make us come back stronger, you know. But it was real hard.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no way to sugarcoat it. It just, yeah, I think, the loss is one thing. It was really what that loss ended up taking kind of with it with Willie Fritz that obviously added to that. But I think just like you said, being an older guy, sometimes just having a couple of those years, it really just makes such a difference. And at the end of the day, you either win or lose a game, and y'all still won 23 games over the last 2 seasons. So yeah, it just unfortunately, not the way you wanted at the end. But then the season ends. But for you guys that are going on to the draft to this next process, we just had Tulane's pro day 2 weeks ago, but that's, months since you've took your last snap in a Tulane football uniform, particularly you ending a little earlier than you might have hoped. So what's the offseason process kind of been for you? I'm assuming at first it was just getting back to regular health, but kind of what have you been working on up till pro day?
Just really getting myself back, going. Like towards the end of the season, I was starting to feel a little better when I started training, going into for a pro day. I wasn't 100%, so my foot was still messed up, and I was in PT for about 2 more weeks after that, and my foot started to like actually feel a lot better, and that's when I was like officially able to like really start training and actually working out um, for pro day. And I mean, it felt great just being back out there. I mean, after a long time of being down and injured, it just felt great just being able to get back to myself and play the sport that I love and prepare for one of the biggest moments of my life.
Exactly. And just I think having that last moment too was really special to watch you guys all really take the field together. But especially, with Michael Pratt going on to the draft and having you guys all really be together, it was special to watch you, Jaquan, and Michael Pratt catch those passes together and really again see what all of you guys could do when healthy. Had you guys spent a lot of time with Pratt this offseason kind of preparing for that day? And, do you guys really keep in contact that frequently, or how have you guys all kind of worked together and prep for that day?
Yeah, so when our releases ended, where everywhere is the location we're at, we ended up coming back. I think I was the first one back here. I contacted Pratt and Quan to see when they were going to be back. And I think Pratt came back like 2 weeks after me. Then Quan came after Pratt, and we worked on our timing and stuff like that for about 2 weeks before pro day, just making sure we had everything down. We were still sharp and stuff like that, and that was pretty much how that process went going into pro day.
Yeah, and you look kind of back at just practice and the amount of times that I've seen you and Pratt run these routes together. I'm sure a lot of it is muscle memory, but was there anything just kind of different about preparing for anything specific for pro day, or did you all just kind of really fall into a rhythm with each other?
We fell into a rhythm, just based off our connections that we've been
Yeah.
having, for 2 years now, just being with those guys. Feel like everything was just pretty much natural, and we didn't try to make the moment too big. We looked at it as like we was going into a game, and that's how we attacked it.
And now the pro day is over, it just feels like this big, one day that you spend several months preparing for, and then it's just kind of adrenaline rush, and now really nothing until the draft. I remember talking with guys last year, and just strikes me how much time there is to just kind of sit and wait. So what have you really been doing to just kind of keep your head straight, getting through this process and looking forward to the next couple of weeks?
So I've just been training day in, day out, just keeping my body up, um, not trying to get too relaxed, knowing have rookie mini camp coming up. It's gonna be pretty hard. So I want to keep my body in shape. So on a daily, I've just been lifting weights, doing a little running, running routes and stuff like that, doing a lot of drills just to keep myself in shape. And try not to get stiff because we don't get as football players, we don't get this much time off. Usually we so used to waking up 6 a.m. We so used to doing something active into now where it's just like a day period, and it's like it'll get you if you not actually think about it, and it can make you real lazy. But I just been working out day in day out, um, and just been keeping myself together. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, it is just a really, like you said, down process and not one that's very structured at all, especially after just all these years of having structure. When I see you guys at practice, just feels like you guys are all really antsy to get out there, but such is kind of the cycle of this process. And I think guys really have to learn a lot about themselves, and you're just kind of one on one with yourself until the end
Yeah,
of this process. So, what do you kind of feel like you've learned about yourself throughout this process?
really, just being able to just gaining more motivation. I say self motivation of anything. Just because you're on your own now, and this is a lot of time. We so used to having, our coaches, strength staff, shoot us a text or something like that, or having our alarm set to wake up in the morning. And like now it's just more of you have to do it on your own now until it's that time. So lately I've just been really just keeping myself motivated, listening to like some motivational speeches, then been doing meditation and stuff like that to really just keep myself going and waking myself up at the same time those guys get up still like 6 a.m. in the morning, and just getting out the house, and trying not to stay in and sit still for too long.
Yeah, 100%. I'm sure you guys all have this internal clock by now, but I appreciate that you talk about just meditating and things like that. I think that, in such a violent sport, sometimes people forget, how much mental calmness can just really make a huge difference. And really, what has meditating done for you, and how you're able to kind of move throughout these things?
It has really it kept me calm throughout the process. I used to do it before the games, still do it this day, but it's just really it calms me down and try not to get me too antsy when it comes to big moments, because sometimes you can just be extremely pumped up and hype, and then you get to that moment and then you're just drained. So meditation for me has really like just been a safe space, like just me and me, time for me to relax and just get myself ready before a game or get myself ready for any type of situation. Like just try not to be too high or be too low in the moment and just stay relaxed and stay calm.
Yeah, without question. I again recall that we kind of talked about that after that SMU championship loss, just with sleep and meditation and just really all these small things that are just super important. Just kind of looking back at your career, just kind of ending this. Did you have a favorite memory or time with the team, or just kind of something that sticks out from being at Tulane?
Oh, I don't know. It's so many great memories. It's so many great memories. Um, and I would say pretty much the year. I mean, really every day, every single day was a memory with those guys. But it was nothing like winning the conference championship and winning the Cotton Bowl. Um, just really the conference championship probably the best to me, and the Cotton Bowl. But I start with the conference championship first, like just being on the field with like 5 seconds left, and we just take a nail, and the student section is like right behind me, and the minute Pratt snapped the ball and nail, all I see is just a swarm of people just fly past me, and I'm like, oh my god, like is this real? Like felt like a dream. So I'm like, it didn't sink in till like after like I walked out the locker room after the game because I'm like, is this real? Because I've never in my life won a championship, and that was like my first actual real championship I ever won. And like right after that, it was me and a shot because the shot was like in the same predicament with me, like just coming out of high school and not being able to win a championship, it hurts. So by both of us being on the same team from the same hometown and just winning a championship, for our hometown and with Tulane and, for the Green Wave community. I mean, it was just an honor. Like, it was a moment I'll never forget for sure. And then the Cotton Bowl was yeah, it was insane. It was my third time, so I actually have history being there. I was there twice when I played for Notre Dame,
Huh.
and we played Clemson one year and the Cotton Bowl, and we didn't win. Then we came back and played the Rose Bowl there against Alabama, and we didn't win. So my third time there, I was like, man, I'm not leaving without a win. I'm not doing. It's my last year. I have to leave with a win. I have to. I have
Okay.
to. So it was just great. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, after like that last play, I was like, what? And it was just so loud. I can't even remember how loud it was. It was so loud in there. And I was just shocked. Like, I was just speechless. I didn't know what to say. Like, I didn't know where I was at that moment. Felt like a little kid again. I was just running around the playground with the
Yeah.
guys, swimming in confetti and stuff like that. But it was great. Like, even the year after that, like, it made the season have not ended how we wanted it to end, but like, just seeing those guys and how uplifting they were after those games that we lost is probably the best I've ever like seen a group of guys. After a loss like that, usually guys just throw stuff on, just leave out, don't say anything. We sat in the locker room and everyone was talking to each other, hugging each other, and it was just something I never seen before, because I hope these guys just don't think this over with. But happily, like, by us building that brotherhood and that connection with each other and just us loving each other, just being there for one another. Like, after those type of games happened, it was just amazing how we all stood together in the midst of, our coaches, departing and stuff like that. How we're just able to finish the season together with each other, and just going out there and be able to play with each other, one last time to go like 1-0. It was definitely an honor. So those are some of my best memories. I have a lot. I can go on for hours.
I love it. No, I think you couldn't have summed it up better. And listen, third time's a charm for you with the Cotton Bowl. So appreciate that you brought that uh, luck over to New Orleans with you. It's easy to hear a promo in the middle of a podcast and think, of course they like the product, they're paid to. Well, if you know me at all, then you know two things. One, I'm truthful, almost to a fault. And two, if I were in it for the money, I would certainly be doing something else. So believe me when I say that I love Blue Oak Barbecue. The food, the drinks, the people, the location, yes, all of that. Blue Oak Barbecue has a great selection of your favorites from the smoker, fantastic sides, and awesome bar specials each and every week, including one for a good cause this time. Go check them out. Blue Oak Barbecue, located at 900 North Carrollton here in New Orleans, or visit them online at blueoakbarbecue.com. I've ran through the majority of the March specials, and March is coming to an end as 2024 continues to fly by. But what I want to promote today is something that also is here for a good cause. If y'all are familiar with Hogs for a Cause, it's an event here. I believe it's April 5th through 6th, if I'm correct. And all of the proceeds go to pediatric brain cancer, something that goes on every year. And Blue Oak Barbecue has a drink where $5 of every sale goes to Hogs for the Cause. And that's their $10 cow tipper cherry bomb, which is made with Oxbow white rum, lemonade, and a cherry puree. I was there a few weeks ago trying out a few little concoctions for a drink we have coming up in the pipeline. And when I continue to emphasize how much of a mixologist MJ Lloyd really is, any drink that I'm promoting here is truly one worth trying. But when it has as much of a good cause wrapped up in it, just go get yourself one of those cow tipper cherry bombs. All right, y'all. Again, that was former Tulane wide receiver Lawrence Keys, someone that I've gotten to know just really well over the last couple seasons, and really appreciated when we just ended things. Now I had stopped the recording, but just really thanking him for being such a good friend to me over the last couple of seasons, and really meant a lot that he thanked me back, not only just for these last couple of years, but for how much I was there for the guys during the 2-10 season, and that it just meant a lot to them that I was there fighting for them every day. And to me, there's really no better compliment that I can receive in my job as a sideline reporter. And just in the way that we were kind of talking about at the end, where, so I think sometimes you learn the most about yourself, the most about a team, and how to fight through adversity when you go through hard times. And I've always said, if I wasn't there for the 2 and 10 year, I would have felt like I was missing just all of this context. But, to have a guy that wasn't even on the team thank me for what I was able to really fight for and try to do for these guys, it just makes my job just feel that much more special. And being able to have this medium now, this space where I'm able to talk about these guys and share their stories, learn about them in just a little different way. I know, again, I talk to these guys all the time on the sideline here and there, but just getting the opportunity to really learn about who they are and just the maturity of Lawrence Keys, it's always stuck out to me. When he came for that spring practice, that spring camp, that the season of the Cotton Bowl year, I just remember looking at him and thinking that guy just has that little extra step. He just moves so quick. And I was gutted that he got injured halfway through spring camp and we didn't really get to see him come on until the end of the year. And there was just this game towards the end of the season. I can't remember which one, but it's around that final stretch where you could just tell he reached into a different gear there. And then for his favorite play of his collegiate career to be one where he was throwing a block. Wide receivers, when they're going on to the next level, it's not just about whether or not you can catch the football. You have to be willing and able to throw those types of blocks. And to have someone be that excited about just being able to help out his teammate. And then you think about all of the games that he was hurt, but he was on the sideline in that championship game, being such the utmost teammate to these guys out there. But, on the field, it was very obvious when he got hurt that Tulane's receiving corps, it really quickly dwindled. He led the team in receptions and receiving yards until he got hurt. He was a leading receiver in several games, if not second in most of them, and led the team in touchdowns. So, his role from the prior season to last really just came on tenfold. And I remember talking with him last August just about confidence in knowing that he could just do more than the motion jet sweeps and being in the slot. And then you just really saw him, Michael Pratt, just kind of take on this new gear after the Cotton Bowl heading into the season. And it wasn't when he caught that passing touchdown record, he caught another touchdown that night. And it just felt like it was so seamless between him and Michael Pratt. And for that to only be their second season really working together just says a lot about him. But I just think Lawrence Keys, the person, sticks out to me more than anything else. As we talked about, we had that bowl selection party after the championship loss, and I went and sat with him and Shoddy Clayton Johnson at one of the tables. And, it was really one of the more raw conversations and atmospheres that I've really been in as a sideline reporter. And it meant the world that they felt like they were able to open up and find some comfort in my presence there. But, that's kind of the way that I felt in that moment. Is I think the way that Lawrence Keys really saw himself on the sideline, helping out these guys throughout the season, using his age, his experience, and, just being there for these guys. A thing that sticks out to me the most about these Tulane players is it really is a true brotherhood. And I'm sure there are a lot of places that are quite similar. I think there are a lot of places that say that they are a brotherhood, but we really can feel that at Tulane. And it's been over the last couple of seasons. You see these guys now coming and hanging out at practice, talking about this new team, being really invested in them. I was talking with Lawrence Keys the other week about how excited we are to just watch the football games next season. But, for right now, their process is just kind of hurry up and wait. And to hear really what his mental process has been like, and just having all this structure really be stripped away from you, and having to really, it's just you, yourself, and your path to the draft. And I don't think there's anyone that's handling it better out there than I've seen Lawrence Keys.